Welcome back to Not Your Practice Life. I am your host, Michelle Urso, and I am so happy you're here because I think this episode is by far the most important conversation that needs to be had when it comes to happiness. It starts and ends with everything in life, and that's the relationship that we have with ourselves. We have things about ourselves that we wish we could change. Some of those are physical, about our bodies. Some of those are mental, about our mindset. And some of those are tangible, like past traumas or experiences we've been through, or maybe things that we've done in our past that we're not exactly proud of. I firmly believe that you cannot love someone else fully and deeply if you are unhappy with yourself in any way, shape, or form. It will absolutely affect your relationship with others. It will affect your performance at work at times, and you will always be chasing that next best thing because you're trying to fill a hole in your soul that will never be filled unless you get to the root cause of it. I mean, it's the reason people develop addictions. They're trying to fill this gaping wound from something in their past by numbing themselves. But until you truly figure out what the deeper cause is, you will always be chasing that high. And I've done extensive work on myself over the last 4 years. So I can tell you that once you figure out where your insecurities are and what you don't like about yourself, that's where you can start the work. And damn, is it worth it? I promise. We all have work that we can do on ourselves, whether or not we have addictions, that can lead to a much happier and healthier life. So stay with me here. So what is it about yourself that you're unhappy with? Research has shown that we average about 60,000 thoughts a day, and over 80% of them are negative. Isn't that wild? Like, we were wired to remember the negative experiences as a survival mechanism, so we don't repeat the same mistakes and so that we stand on guard for things that could kill us. But we know that we do this now, so there's a way to rewire our brains. We have this program in our subconscious mind that causes us to wake up and do the same things on repeat. So once you figure out what those patterns are, whether it be physical or mental, that's when we can start rewiring them. And we also know that we aren't our true, authentic selves all the time because we fear judgment, or we were judged for certain things. And we're trying to shy away from showing that piece of ourselves to others because we don't want to get hurt again, or we don't want to be judged again. But the best thing I ever did for myself was consciously stop caring about what other people think about me. And I can tell you it's hard work and it is a work in progress, but I have come so far from where I was. Before, I hated pictures of myself, let alone taking a picture of myself by myself. And I damn sure didn't have the confidence to take a video of myself. So the fact that I'm recording a podcast with a video is leaps and bounds from where I once was. And also, I would overanalyze everything. If someone was short with me, I'd start thinking about all the things that I said or did that could have upset them because I always thought it was about me. It's not about me. And so when I could finally let go of that and just stop overanalyzing and say, well, maybe they're just having a bad day. Well, if it's about me, then hopefully they'll tell me because I don't know what I did. And so once I stopped making it about me, it is the most freeing thing you could do for yourself. I'd also not speak my mind all the time. I'd hold things in, and what that did was they would fester, and then it would either breed anger and resentment, or I would have these explosive outbursts later on that were mortifying. But now I've learned to speak my mind in a respectful way when I've calmed down about whatever the situation might be. For example, my sunglasses and my phone charger were stolen from work within about a week's time. So I sent a mass message to my coworkers expressing that I respect each and every one of them, and I would never steal something from them because they accidentally forgot it at work. And I would really appreciate the same respect in return. And my old self never would have had the balls to send that message. I mean, maybe I would have, but if I did, I would have overanalyzed everything walking into work the next day. I would have been timid and nervous, like, oh, should I not have sent that? What are people thinking about me? Did I just change their perception of me? But now I don't care what anyone else thinks because I said it in a respectful manner and I meant it. And what I've also come to terms with is not everyone's going to like me, and that's okay. As long as I am being my true, authentic, friendly, and respectful self, it's really none of my business what anyone else thinks of me. Because the people that I care about, that I love, as long as they love and care about me back and let me be my true self, I don't need everyone to. I don't need all of my coworkers to love me. I don't need everyone who I meet in this world to like me or love me. It's okay. You're going to find your core people that love and respect you and will let you be your true, authentic self. But stop trying to fit in with people that don't. Stop trying to be somebody you're not. Embrace who you are, because people will love you exactly as you are, I promise you. So the more you can get into the mentality of just being you and being true to whoever that is, the happier and freer you will feel in life. I was listening to the Mel Robbins podcast. They did an episode on the 4 proven steps to unlock your most authentic self. And I loved this thought that they expressed. They said, if there were no negative consequences for your actions, how would you show up? Who would you love? How would you dress? What content would you post or share? How would you speak? Where would you draw boundaries? If you can just show the good, the bad, and the ugly of who you truly are, that is the reflection of yourself, and that's what feels the best. So what does that look like for you? Who would you be? Who would you love? What content would you share and post if there were no consequences? And maybe your answer is the very thing that you're insecure about. So what is it? Do you not dress the way you want to because you're afraid you'll be judged, or because you don't like the way you look? Are you ashamed of your past and you're letting that run your future? Are you not coming out because of the fear that your family or your friends won't love you anymore? Do you have an addiction that you can't get a handle on? Do you live with anger and resentment and guilt? Do you have an explosive temper? Do you have a disability that's severely impacting your life? Do you lack motivation and focus? Do you have a negative mindset? Do you hate being alone? Do you just not like the person you are? Do you have a hard time trusting your partner or other people? Do you have past traumas that seem to creep up when you're just going about your normal day? Is there something about your physical appearance that you can't stand? Insecurities have a funny way, actually a not funny way at all, of disguising themselves as unnecessary arguments, nitpicking others, judging others, and so many other ways to make you think that it's them and not you, that you don't have any issues, that you don't have any problems. But deep down, your judgment is an insecurity. It's something that you're unhappy with within yourself. But having insecurities and being unhappy with yourself in any aspect is called being human. We all get in our heads at some point in our lives, or every week, every day, every hour. It's constantly a work in progress. So what insecurities do you have? Can you think of some pretty quickly, or maybe you need some time to think about it? When I was younger, I was very insecure about my physical appearance. I hated a lot of things about myself. I hated my red hair because my brother told me I was adopted and I was weird because nobody had red hair. I hated my freckles and my birthmarks and my moles. Who even invented the word mole? Because that's just hideous within itself. I hated my small boobs and my big teeth, and the list goes on. But over the years, I've come to love everything about my physical body. And it's funny thinking back, because I used to get compliments on my legs all the time. But every time I looked at my legs, I saw the freckles and the moles, and that's it. I'm like, ew, why do people think I have good legs? But I have some badass muscles, okay? I used to do sports. I try to stay physically fit, and I've got some great muscles that I am very proud of today. And that's what people saw, but I couldn't see it. So now I thank my body for my strong, badass legs. They help me walk an ungodly amount of steps at work. They help me run miles when I have the energy to do so. And at one point, they also helped me carry my 80-pound dog up and down 3 flights of stairs when he couldn't walk. So what is it about your physical appearance that you can thank your body for? What can you change your mindset about? I thank my little boobs for still being perky at 38 years old and not causing me back pain. And I'll take that any damn day. Mindset is everything, you guys, and I will keep preaching it until you start believing it and practicing it. Do I wish I was skinnier at times? Absolutely. But then I remind myself that if I actually put in the work and went back to the gym, that I could make it happen. But if my body is tired and I'm in a season of life where my physical fitness lacks, that is okay. Giving myself grace through rough seasons of my life is the best thing that I ever did. And trust me, it takes work. There are still days when I beat myself up for not working out or not being where I want to be in life. But then I remind myself to shut the fuck up because we're fine. We're right where we're supposed to be. And when you have the motivation and your body allows for it, you will get back to it. Please give yourself grace and forgiveness for maybe not being where you want to be in life right now. And on the flip side, maybe there are areas of your life that you've put on the back burner because you don't have time. And I just put quotations around don't have time because we all have time. I don't care how busy your life is or how many kids you have or how many jobs you work. Time is always what you make it, and there is always ways to prioritize things. Because when an emergency hits, guess what? Now you have the time to deal with it. And we waste so much time on things because we don't respect our time. We don't prioritize it. So where in your life have you been neglecting because you have not been making it a priority? Maybe it's not making time to exercise, but you'd be happier if you got into a workout routine. Maybe meditating is your thing, but you can't remember the last time you sat down for 5 minutes in silence. Maybe journaling is your jam, but you haven't wrote in months. Maybe you have no idea why you're unhappy, but you know something is off, because I have been there multiple times. Back in 2019, I was miserable. Most days I was filled with anxiety. I didn't find fulfillment in my job. I was unhappy in my relationship. I didn't work out anymore. I really just felt lost and was not taking care of myself. And I felt like I was always calling my girlfriends with the same relationship issues over and over again. And I truly wasn't sure if it was the relationship making me unhappy or if I was just unhappy with myself. So when my relationship hit a major speed bump, that's when I took a step back and was like, okay, I need to focus on myself before I focus on anything else. And this is the moment that I decided to turn inward. I began to think about all of the things that I could do for myself that could make me feel alive again. I started going back to the gym. On my way home, I would stop by the beach and just sit for a few minutes to watch the waves and think about things that I was grateful for. I started going to Al-Anon meetings, which is a support group for people who love an addict. I went to therapy. I went on a yoga retreat in Sedona by myself. Y'all, when I'm telling you I put in the work, I put in the work to figure out why I was unhappy. So after all of this, I came to a massive realization. Oh no, I'm good. I love the woman I am. I've put in the work and I'm really proud of who I've become. I constantly strive to be a better person, to treat other people with respect. I constantly work on developing my emotional intelligence and my self-awareness. It is definitely my relationship that's making me unhappy. But that situation is what propelled me to dive deep into putting into the work in myself and ultimately falling in love with myself. Of course, I still have days of self-doubt and I criticize myself and I pick myself apart, but every day is a new day and it's a work in progress. And guess what? That is okay. The quicker we can give ourselves grace and forgiveness and relax, the easier and happier life gets. But maybe your thing isn't a physical thing about your body or relationship issues that are making you unhappy. Maybe it's something you wish you could change internally. Like, do you wish you could change your road rage or fits of anger or your addiction? Or maybe you have regrets from your past that you can't forgive yourself for. Maybe you have anxiety or depression or wish you had more friends. I'll tell you what it is for me now. For me, it's resentment that I wish I could take away. It's something that I continue to work on, but man, is it hard some days. Because thoughts or memories creep in from these people that really hurt me from my past. And I just feel this anger start to rise up. And I start thinking about how much time I wasted on these people who are truly pieces of shit. But here's the sad thing, is when some people get mistreated, they put these walls up They close themselves off from future loves or future friendships or even making a human connection because they don't want to get hurt again. They think they're better off alone or that they can't trust anyone again. And they live this life of loneliness, and that breaks my heart. Because just because one person or two people or a handful of people mistreated you in your past, not everyone is like that. There are a lot of good people in this world who love and care about you, who would never intentionally hurt you. So while I keep putting myself out there to find love again, because I know it's possible and I know he's somewhere, where are you? Because I am ready. But the truth is, I still struggle with this resentment piece a little bit. And I know that's why I'm blocking my energy from meeting somebody new, because that is a real thing. And what I can also say is that I've paid money to get help with this in the form of therapy and energy work, because I know I will be happier and healthier and meet my man when I can let go of it completely. Because it's only hurting me to hold on to these emotions. These assholes are out there living their lives and they don't give a shit about me or what I'm holding on to. And I love what I heard from Les Brown recently. He said, what you focus on the longest becomes the strongest. So what are you giving your thoughts and time and energy to? Because we can either choose to let our stories hold us down and keep us stuck in the past and let that internalize in our bodies, or we can choose to let those experiences lift us up and use them for the good. For me, when those negative thoughts start to creep up, I turn them into gratitude because I get to choose how I think. No one else gets to choose that for me. I get to choose to be grateful. Grateful for the lessons that I learned in the process. Grateful of the strong, resilient woman I've become because of it. Grateful that I experienced all of that heartache and hurt because I know that I can help somebody going through something similar. And when I feel that anger and resentment building, I stop, quiet the mind, and I turn to gratitude. And it is a work in progress, but it is so worth it. Recently, I was watching a movie called Unsinkable: The Secret to Bouncing Back. And they talked about holding on to the past. They stated how forgiveness can get you back into your body, and you need to let that get into your heart. They explain that forgiveness isn't condoning what the other person did. It's letting your heart be free. It's taking your power back and using it in a creative way to propel your life forward. When we overcome the emotion of anger, resentment, and guilt from the past, we're opening ourselves up for the good and the positive to come in. So you need to free yourself from not thinking about the past anymore. Because the only place that our past exists is in our minds. We're keeping it there. We're keeping it alive as if it's still happening, and we hold that in our bodies, and it grows stronger, and it stifles our energy. And it can also cause physical illness and cancer. There are numerous studies done that even show suppressing anger causes serious harm. A study by the University of Rochester and Harvard School of Public Health found that patients who had scored over 75% level of suppressing emotions faced a 70% increase in cancer deaths. That's crazy, but it is so true. How when we suppress emotions and keep them in our physical bodies, it comes out as illness and sickness. So we need to start doing the work to let it go. One of the people interviewed in this movie was Rhonda Britton, who experienced severe trauma when she was 14. And before I tell this story, I just want to let my close friends know that this is very similar to what happened to Kyla. So if you need to fast forward through this part, I completely understand. But Rhonda was going out for a Father's Day brunch, and she was ready while her two sisters were still in the bathroom getting ready. So she headed out to the car. Her mom grabbed her coat and headed out to the car as well, and her dad was out there. Her dad went to the trunk to grab his coat as well. But in the corner of her eye, she could see that he didn't grab his coat. He grabbed a gun. And she watched him point that gun at her mom and said, "You made me do this." And then he fired. And Rhonda screamed, "What are you doing, Dad? Stop." Sorry, I'm getting emotional. It just reminds me of my friend Kyla. So Rhonda screamed and asked her dad to stop. He cocked the gun again and pointed it right at Rhonda. But her mother looked up and saw the gun pointed at her daughter, and with her last breath screamed, "No, don't." And the father realized that the mother was still alive and turned the gun and pointed it back at the mother and shot and killed her. And then he cocked the gun one more time, put it up to his head, and fired. So in a matter of 2 minutes, Rhonda watched her father kill her mother and then commit suicide. So as you can imagine, this 14-year-old girl had a very rough life. She turned to alcohol, numerous toxic relationships, and even tried to commit suicide herself. But she had an awakening. After a lot of work on herself, she realized that she was running her life through fear. Fear that she wasn't good enough, fear that she was a failure, and that she'd always be alone. But she was able to break free from that, and she's teaching others to do the same. And she gave a great example on how to work on forgiving those who hurt you from your past. She said, take out a piece of paper and put a line down the middle. On the left-hand side, I want you to write down that person. And on the right-hand side, I want you to write, I am willing to forgive you. And then on the left-hand side, write down all of the hurt and anger that you're feeling about that person. For example, on the left-hand side, she would write, how could you do this? And then on the right, she would write, I'm willing to forgive you. On the left, how could you kill mom? On the right, I'm willing to forgive you. On the left, how could you do this right in front of me? On the right, I'm willing to forgive you. So the powerful thing about this exercise is that it honors your feelings. It's getting them out, and it's focusing on what you want to do, which is forgiving that person by ultimately letting go of the hurt and the pain and the anger that you have in your heart. And she explained that this is not a one-time thing. You have to forgive that person over and over again when life events happen. Like when she got married, she had to forgive her parents again for not being there. But you need to honor your feelings and stay true to the intention of forgiveness. She said, because your energy will be stuck otherwise, and she is definitely right. And this is an exercise that I need to do with several people from my past, including the person that killed my brother, because I have always said that if I ever saw him out again, I would not be able to control myself. I would beat the living shit out of him. Do I want to do that? No, because I don't want to get arrested for that. I'm an officer in the United States military, and I worked so hard for my career. And the last thing I want to do is let my emotions get the better of me and ruin my career over somebody who is not worth it, somebody who I need to forgive, and something that I need to let go of. I'm not saying what he did was okay. I'm not saying that the hurt and the pain and the loss of my brother is going to go away, because it doesn't. But this will get easier. For those listening, I'm like welling up with tears. So that will get easier. That will get lighter. My heart will be freer once I can forgive him. And that's so important to do, because you cannot keep holding on to anger and resentment and frustration and guilt, because it just eats away at your soul, whether you think about it on the daily or not. And I want you to be freer and happier and healthier. That's why this podcast exists. So put in the work, do your list. I'm going to do it right after this, and just see how it can help your life. But now I want to switch gears to those of you who struggle to be alone, whether that's physically spending time by yourself or this innate feeling to always be in a relationship. You will never truly be happy in life or have successful, long-lasting relationships until you are happy with the person that you are. And if you don't like spending time alone with yourself, you clearly don't love yourself. And listen to me, loud and clear. It doesn't matter what you did in your past. It doesn't matter how many times you've messed up. It doesn't matter that you're not where you thought you would be today, or that you're not married with kids, or that you don't have a great job title. What matters is today and the rest of your life. I love this quote from Eckhart Tolle and need to post-it note this shit all over my apartment. It says, realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. So start today by focusing on the present and focusing on bettering yourself. What's something that you would pay money to change if you could? Do you have the finances that you can dedicate towards improving your health and happiness? Or can you start making it a priority to actually work on it? I'm going to give you some free ways where you can start improving the relationship that you have with yourself. And I want you to be open to them, no matter how dumb or corny or weird they might sound. I was listening to Dave Ramsey the other day, and this really stuck with me. He said he was talking to a friend who radically changed his life. And his friend said, you know what changed everything? When I decided to submit myself to someone else's ideas. That's when it all changed. Dave went on to say, am I willing to submit and try something that I never tried to get something I've never gotten? That's a hard thing for people to do. Change is hard. Even if we don't like where we are, we seem to stay stuck in it. You have to get up and say, no more. Decide whether you're going to get up and try something different, or just say, oh, it's a nice theory, and do nothing about it. So I'm going to challenge you to try something new you haven't tried before, even if it sounds dumb, okay? Because some of these sound a little crazy. But just try it. What do you have to lose? Nothing. Best case scenario, it helps your life. So number one, do some form of physical activity. The gym gives a lot of people anxiety, but there are so many more options to improving your physical health. Hop on a bike and just get outside. Go for a walk after you eat dinner before you clean up, so you're not too tired after you clean up. Take your dog for an actual walk instead of just letting it out in the yard. And if you don't have a dog, go volunteer to walk dogs at the local shelter. This brought me a lot of happiness when I lived in Florida, and it's actually how I found Jake. Go for a swim, hit some golf balls, grab a football, a baseball, a frisbee, toss it around. Try a class that you think might be fun, like yoga, Zumba, water aerobics, or even spin. Go for a hike, take the stairs whenever you can, or do some squats or lunges while you're watching TV. Every little bit adds up, and every little bit of physical activity will make you feel better. Spend some time alone, even if it's only 20 minutes a day. Spend this time truly being present with yourself. When you're spending time with yourself, you can start to realize your thought patterns and begin to work on them. Most of the time, our minds are on autopilot, spinning in different directions. But when you truly start to be present with your thoughts, you're able to realize what patterns you have, and then you're able to stop them in their rusty, worn out tracks. Are your thoughts mostly negative? Are you often criticizing yourself or picking yourself apart by your physical attributes, or for being lazy or not being where you thought you would be by now? Is your mind spinning with to-do lists or dreaming of what you wish your life looked like? Is it filled with stress and anxiety? It might be helpful to sit in front of a blank screen or with a sheet of paper and just let your mind go as it normally does, and just write down thoughts as they come without judgment whatsoever. Then you can really see whether your thoughts sway more towards the negative or the positive. At one point, when I was sitting doing work during the day, I would keep a little post-it note next to my desk, and I would do positives on one side, negatives on the other. And every time I had a positive thought, I would put a check mark. Every time I had a negative thought, I would put a check mark. Negativity at its finest. But that's when you can stop it. You can start to notice how truly negative or positive you really are. And that's when you can start working on it. The more knowledge you have about your habits and thought processes, the more you can change it, the quicker you can change it. Here's where it might start to get a little corny, okay? I want you to look at yourself in the mirror. Like, actually look at yourself and acknowledge everything you've been through. Don't just look through yourself, look at yourself. I know this may sound ridiculous, but don't knock it till you try it, man. I want you to accept that the past is the past and vow to give yourself some more grace. Life is fucking hard and we all make mistakes. Acknowledge yourself in the mirror. Thank yourself for as far as you've come and give yourself grace for moving forward. Mel Robbins has a high five habit where she starts her day by looking at herself in the mirror and giving herself a high five. And this isn't just a cheesy thing that I'm suggesting you add to your morning routine to automatically love yourself. There's actually a lot of science-backed data that shows why this is so beneficial. Mel Robbins says, that's because the high five gesture has had a lifetime of programming into your brain as being positive. Without saying anything, a high five sends you the message that I believe in you, I see you, you got this. The gesture also helps you rewire how you think about yourself. Lawrence Katz, the late neurobiologist at Duke University Medical Center, found that exercises designed to keep your brain active and learning, which he dubbed neurobics, help your brain create new pathways and connections. So high-fiving yourself is a neurobic exercise, a routine activity, such as looking at yourself in the mirror, paired with something unexpected that involves your senses, like giving yourself a high five, elicits an emotion like celebrating. So instead of seeking the validation and support that you need outside of yourself, like words of affirmation from your partner or getting a certain number of likes on your social media posts, you can develop a new habit of finding the courage and confidence to empower yourself wherever you are. Mel goes on to say, feeling supported and loved is the most motivating force on the planet. It's comparing the feeling to a marathon runner getting a high five from a spectator. What keeps them going is knowing they're being celebrated and cheered for. It affirms and fulfills our deepest need, which is to be seen, heard, and celebrated. A high five is a transfer of energy. When times get hard, developing habits of celebrating and cheering for yourself can be huge. It's impossible to think I suck when you give yourself a high five. I just love that. So it's something that I think I need to start trying. Because why not? What can it hurt, really? Another thing I want you to start trying is thinking about the things that bring you joy. What did you love doing as a kid? What do you love doing now? What makes you feel more confident? When I started to think about this, I know when I go to the gym regularly, I have a lot more confidence. I feel better. I know I look better. And in turn, that gives me a lot more confidence. So what are some things that you can think of that bring you confidence that you can start doing or reincorporating into your life? Do something each and every day that builds your confidence. Talk to a stranger, compliment a stranger, give yourself a high five in the mirror, get a workout in, step outside your comfort zone, because building your confidence is the key to self-worth and self-love. It is never too late to start working on yourself and making it a priority. And making it a priority is a must. So where can you fit it in throughout your day? Can you wake up 30 minutes earlier? Can you stop scrolling social media for an hour and put that time back into yourself? It's really helped me to time block my days and try sticking to it as close as I can. I build in 10-minute buffer times for myself because our attention span these days, well, at least mine, is kind of pathetic. It's getting shorter and shorter. So those 10 minutes are my time to do mindless activities like scroll social media, grab a snack, check my email, things that aren't important, but I do it anyways. And it's mind-boggling to see how much time I actually wasted on meaningless activities. But I didn't realize it until I started writing down how I was actually spending my time, minute by minute. So like 11:01 to 11:23, I was doom scrolling on Instagram, had no idea I'd spent 20 minutes doing it. And because I'm so passionate about respecting my time and not wasting time, because time is valuable and life just keeps on moving, I'm creating a journal for people who might be struggling with this also, and for myself. It'll help put things into perspective and help bring more focus and discipline to your time. It feels amazing to actually respect your time and put it to good use. And like I said, I never realized how much time I was wasting on dumb shit, like cleaning my kitchen for the 17th time. That can wait. I didn't need to do that every 5 minutes when I was trying to get work done on my computer. I'd get up and be like, oh no, let me just go clean that pan real quick. Like the time I would get up and spend doing that was such a waste of time. So I'll keep you guys posted on when I get it done and produced. And if you're interested in getting one, let me know. So to wrap up this episode, I really hope that you can start thinking about the things within yourself that you need to change and that you need to work on, whether that's your mindset about it, whether that's giving yourself grace, whether that's forgiving someone so you can release anger and resentment that's on your heart. And I also understand that there are things in life that are out of our control that we just have to deal with, but you can't sit there and feel sorry for yourself all the time. You have to put in the work to fix it and to change your mindset and to do whatever you can do to get yourself out of that hole. So put in the work, even if that's changing your mindset, getting grateful about things, and thinking about all the things that you actually do have, even clean drinking water. There are millions of people in the world that do not have clean drinking water. Shift your mindset, get grateful, and start thanking your body for everything you've put it through, because I know it's a hell of a lot. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please let me know what you think and where you're struggling. And I hope you seriously make yourself a priority because you're worth it. I love you. Oh, and I can't freaking wait for our next episode. We are talking to a courageous woman who battled an awful addiction. I'm talking like deep into heroin, homeless at times, just really bad circumstances. But she ripped and clawed her way to sobriety. She's over 8 years clean, and I could not be more proud of her. And she's never looking back. So she'll be on the next episode. We're going to dig deep into how she fell into addiction, how she managed to survive it, and how she's doing today. So stay tuned. Please subscribe. It helps content creators everywhere, no matter what the platform is. And oh yeah, you got this shit. This isn't your practice life. Go get your ass out there and make a change. I love you. Talk to you soon.